Hi, everybody. I want to do something a little bit different this time. Those of you that normally follow me, I've seen a trend here on TikTok and other places where people are showing off their watch collection. And I thought I'd join that trend because I've been collecting watches for years, mostly vintage pieces. So maybe this is something new for you. I do notice that although some people are showing vintage pieces, there are an awful lot of admittedly younger guys who have a dozen watches, and they're all kind of the same. They're all those stainless steel sports watches, be them divers watches or pilots watches or chronographs or whatever. And there's kind of a sameness there. It may look different to you, but to everyone else is kind of the same. So maybe this will give you a different perspective on what you could wear. Again, I have mostly vintage watches, but I'm an old guy. I'm assuming, I guess I'm vintage. So if the watch fits. I've always liked watches. I've always worn watches. I've had nice watches even when I was younger. When I was about 25, I bought my first Rolex, and it was a two-tone Datejust black dial. It was the 1980s. That was a pretty cool watch to have. And I had it about 10 years. And I did sell it because, well, I needed the money and I had a young family, and it didn't really suit my lifestyle at the time. So for years after that, I went to wearing Timex and Casio watches, and they work great. Nothing wrong with that. If that's what you like, fine. But I was getting ready to turn 45, and my wife kept asking me, she said, "What do you want for your birthday? I want to get you something." And honestly, I could not think of anything that I wanted or needed, okay, that we could afford. I mean, yes, I wanted a Ferrari, but she kept asking. And finally, one day, I just blurted out, "How about a nice watch, like a Swiss-made watch?" She said, "Okay, great, let's go look." So this is the one that we got. And this, let's see if we can show it here. This is an Edox, E-D-O-X. And that's an actual Swiss watch company dating back to 1800 and something. And it's I believe still family owned. It's not part of some conglomerate. So this is a great watch, automatic movement. It has an integrated bracelet and a hidden clasp, and I just love it. It's a great watch. I wore it quite often, and then I don't wear it that much anymore because I have so many, but my wife did pass away about 10 years ago, so this one's special. This one's going to be with me for the duration. So that's the first one I wanted to show you. Next up, and anybody who's into watches, I don't have to explain this one. I wanted something nice, and I didn't want another Rolex. So this is an Omega Speedmaster Professional. And again, all the watch guys out there know this one. And I don't think anyone's going to argue with you when you say, "I think this is the coolest watch there is." It was worn on the outside of the spacesuits by the astronauts and went on the moon. So, great watch. I love it. I've had it over 20 years, but it's a great watch. Next, I want to talk about this. Vintage watches. I started to collect vintage watches, and I said, well, I better specialize in one thing because I was buying everything. I said, okay, I'm going to get American-made watches because I had bought a Gruen. That was, I think, my first vintage watch, and I liked it. I bought a few more, but then I got into the Hamilton watches. Now, I'm talking about Hamilton American-made watches. These were considered the finest of the American-made watches. They were made in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and I grew up about 25 miles from there, so that was kind of cool. But the Hamiltons made there were comparable to what Patek Philippe and Vacheron Constantin were putting out at the same time. So they're fine quality watches, and I have a whole bunch of them. One of these days I'm going to have a big sale, but right now I'm going to show you some of my absolute favorites. I'm going to start at the top. This is the number one. This is the favorite one. This is a Hamilton Electric Pacer from 1957. And for those of you not familiar with the Hamilton Electric watches, in 1957, Hamilton came out with the very first watch that ran on a battery. Prior to that, all watches were mechanical. They had to be wound. So this was a big innovation. You may recognize the shape as being similar to the Ventura, which is still available today in some form. The difference was the Ventura had a solid gold case in 1957, not anymore, and the Pacer has a 10-karat gold filled case. This is my absolute favorite watch. It's fully restored. When I got this, the problem with these Hamilton Electrics, and I have a number of them, and I really do love them, is that they haven't been made since 1969. Because at that time, Seiko and Citizen came in with their quartz watches and basically blew everyone out of the water. So when I got this one, there was only one guy who could work on them and service it for you, and he's since retired. There are now a couple other guys that are doing it, but let me tell you, because there are only a couple guys and they haven't been made since '69, it ain't cheap. But this is a definite favorite. I love the cases. Most of the cases for the electrics were asymmetrical, as you can see. They were actually designed by a man by the name of Richard R. Beebe, who was a mid-century designer. I think his biggest accomplishment that you would know was he's the guy that put the fins on the Cadillacs in the 1950s. He also designed the Hamilton Electric watches. He also designed vacuum cleaners because, you know, a gig's a gig. So anyway, that is my Hamilton Pacer from 1957, #1 favorite. Again, because they're really expensive to get fixed, I don't wear it that often. I wear it special occasions, my birthday, Christmas, New Year's, but still the favorite. Okay. Next up, and this one's got a pretty cool story. This one is the Bolton model. Because again, we're sticking with Hamilton. The Bolton is, I believe, the largest running quality watch made, has the largest run. This came out in 1940 originally, and with the exception of World War II, when Hamilton didn't make watches for the general public, they only made them for the military, it was a continuous production until 1969. That's when they closed the factory in Pennsylvania and the Swiss took them over. Then in the 1980s, the Swiss reintroduced the Bolton, and it's still in the current lineup today with the quartz movement. This one is from, and I'll tell you the story behind this one. I have had several of these, but this is my favorite. It is inscribed on the back, to Bill from Dot 12/25/50. So Christmas Day 1950. I have no idea who Bill and Dot were. But when I got this watch, it was disgusting. It was full of gunk and dead skin, I don't know what. You know, it was just really gross. It reeked of cigarette smoke. The dial was brown from the nicotine stains. But what that told me was that Bill, and again, I don't know who Bill was, wore this watch for probably 20 years, probably till the end. I'm assuming Bill's no longer with us. He looked like a 3-pack-a-day guy. So that tells me something. That was really great. So I took it apart, and I did learn how to work on these things. So I cleaned and oiled the movement. I cleaned up the dial, and it's not perfect, but it's pretty good. I put the case in the ultrasonic cleaner to get all the gunk out of it, put a strap on it. Works great. There is, the only thing is there is a little chip here on the glass crystal, and yes, I could replace the crystal, but I'm thinking maybe Bill did something really cool to make that chip, so I'm going to leave that there. That's a Bolton, and again, great watch. Next one up is was an eBay find, actually. This is one that was advertised on eBay as Hamilton Ladies Watch Needs Battery. And the opening bid was $10. I won it for $10.50. Of course, as soon as I saw it, I knew it wasn't a lady's watch. It was a man's watch from the 1940s. I got it. I wound it up. Works great. Okay. This is called a Langdon model, 1948. And just a quick point to make here. This is a modern khaki Hamilton 42 millimeter. What happened, guys? Overcompensating? I don't know. This is a great one. Very similar to Patek Philippe at that time. Next one up. This one I wear quite often, and I like this one. This was a Blade model. And this is from about, I think, 63. And it's got that Cartier vibe, but if you'll notice, it's asymmetrical. Again, this side's wider, this side's thinner. Very cool watch. It's got the 770 movement, which was the best movement that Hamilton ever made. And so it looks kind of like that Cartier tank that somebody shoved to one side, and it's kind of off kilter now. And People who know me think this is a good watch for me. One of my favorites. And now this one, I'm going to end with this one. This is the quintessential American watch. This is called the Piping Rock. This was the flagship from Hamilton. Originally, they introduced these in the 1920s, and they made it to about 1931 or 32. Of course, the Great Depression happened then, so nobody could afford them. When they came out in the 20s, they were $125. Being that most people were making about $5 a week, a $125 watch was quite a piece. They reintroduced them in 1948. That's this model, which I actually prefer. It does have a solid gold 14-karat case, a sterling silver dial, a 17 jewel movement. They made their own movements in-house. The lugs are hinged. They do move. Very, very cool watch. And going back to that Cartier trend, and I do like Cartier tanks very much, but in a room full of people wearing Cartier tanks, I want to be the guy wearing this. And I guess I am. Anyway, those are just some of my favorites. I've got a lot more, so if you like this, let me know, and we can continue. Okay, bye for now.